Welcome to our Sunday morning meditation service. This morning we're going to do Sata Nama. Sa is the beginning, infinity, the totality of everything that ever was, is, or will be. Ta is life, existence, and creativity that manifests from infinity. Na is death, change, and the transformation of consciousness. Ma is rebirth, regeneration, and resurrection, which allows us to consciously experience the joy of the infinite. So we're going to go Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. And I do both hands. Sa, Ta, Na, Ma is so primal that its impact on our psyche is like splitting an atom. The power of this mantra comes from the fact that it rearranges the subconscious mind at the most elementary level. It has the power to break habits and addictions because it accesses the level of the mind where habits are created. And if ever you feel ill, a headache or whatever makes you feel, just sit and do Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. You will be healed. So let's take the lights down a little bit. It seems like it's so bright. Okay, so get comfortable. I like it to do it to nature sounds so that you really feel part of the whole. Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata
Good morning, everyone. The transcendental philosopher, poet, and sage, Henry David Thoreau, wrote a best-selling book. Actually, it's been an international bestseller for decades. The title of it is Walden. In that book, he cites this particular statement. Can we have this first PowerPoint, please? Most people live lives of quiet desperation. Most people live lives of quiet desperation. When you realize that that book was written in 1854, published in 1854, that observation of life holds true certainly for our times. People in our times living in a faster moving world certainly live lives of quiet desperation. Well, lives of desperation, yes, but in our times maybe not also quiet. There's a lot of conflict and outrage being expressed throughout our world today. We can see it everywhere. And it is interesting to note that all of that outrage and violence and war is the result of unenlightened consciousness, the result of limited awareness. And so this morning I want to speak about this idea of human desperation, this age-old condition of human desperation. It's not always considered desperation. Sometimes it's just considered an inability to cope. And sometimes it's considered an emptiness that people can't shake. I know that over the years I've spoken to a number of people who say they have this terrible feeling of being disconnected. Well, the truth of it is that people in the unenlightened state of awareness are disconnected. There has to be a time where we transcend the limited thinking of the world as we were born into it and educated in. We have to take it on and realize it is not going to play out for harmony, peace, and love. Because we're open as we live to recognize the failure of the thought system of the world. Something more is needed. And for the most part, religion hasn't really provided that. Religion has just somehow or other succumbed to the thinking of the world itself and just became a worldly organization. So what are we to do? If we are going to find life and find it abundantly, beautifully, joyfully, we are going to have to take to task our own awareness and find our way into the consciousness shared by the masters of life down through the ages that speak of a peace and a joy that surpasses the understanding of the thinking of the world. That it cannot be acquired in the thinking of the world, which we were all led to believe it could, and we were seeking in the world to make that so, but the masters have rejected that, saying it cannot be brought about through the illusionary concept of separation and that concept that we have that I'm a separate objective observer of the world and I should be able to figure out how to make the world work to fulfill my personal expectations. It can't happen until one transcends that limited thinking. And that's what we're about doing. You see, this whole idea of lives of desperation, everyone in the thinking of the world supposes it is caused by conditions, circumstances, people other than themselves who are causing them to not be able to live the life they'd like to be living. Or they talk about circumstances, never having the education. Or my parents did this and that to me when I was young and I grew up thinking this or that. And I never made enough money and I would never got this. And it's always something from outside that never came to bless you and fix you and bring you into the life that you're worthy of living. That's what's taking place in the thinking of the world. Now I'm going to state a fact that most of you on the Unity Path already are aware of. The problem does not originate outside of us. The problem originates within our own minds. So the difficulties and tribulations that you might be meeting in your experience are, in a sense, ignorantly self-imposed. So let me just share this with you from A Course in Miracles, which takes into detail the teachings of the Masters of Life. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? You can read this in the Course in Miracles text, page 186, paragraph 3. Never forget that the sonship is your salvation. The sonship is yourself. As God's creation, it is yours, and belonging to you, it is His. Yourself does not need salvation, but your mind needs to learn what salvation is. You are not saved from anything, but you are saved for glory. Glory is your inheritance, given you by your Creator, that you might extend it. Yet, if you hate part of yourself, all your understanding is lost, because you are looking on what God created as yourself without love. Can we take this back again? This, of course, reiterates the ongoing theme of A Course in Miracles about the interconnectedness of all consciousness. And it's speaking to us about the limited definition we have given to life, which separates us from the ideal that we are interconnected with everything and everyone we look upon. And it is incumbent upon this to hold in mind those thoughts that bring healing, harmony, and peace into your relationships, no matter what they are. This is mastery. Mastery is not mind over matter. Mastery is not using your mind to make the conditions and circumstances and people outside of you conform to prosper you. That's a hook. That's a hook for people in the outer-directed, illusion-driven world to bring them into the possibility of spiritual understanding. So they start there with the whole idea, mind over matter. That's great. I'll be able to use my mind to create what I've always been seeking in the world to make my life work. But then as they continue on, they talk to people around them, they meet people on the path, and suddenly they're being revealed to them that mastery has to do with your ability to transcend the illusionary appearances outside of you, and to do that by changing your own consciousness, your thinking, your attitudes, and then, surprise, you see how people change toward you. Life changes toward you. And here comes the words, down through the ages, it will never change. These are the words of the Master of Masters. If you will be my people, I will be your God. But unfortunately, so much of what is taking place in the outer-directed thinking of the world is corroborated by authority figures who themselves have never taken to task their own personal awareness. They live on the illusionary accolades of life, having and appearing important. It is so important to appear important. And so they live for that, they strive for that, and they do anything they have to do to manipulate the people in their experiences to honor their importantness. And that's really the challenge that we face in the world. The media propagates the illusion of being that separate, special individual that can fight off all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that come your way. And most of it does in the media and in film. They do it by force, by weaponry, by being smart enough how to kill everything around you. And that's what our video games are all about. We want to raise our children to be that special, individual, illusion-driven self that takes up arms against those things that are coming out against him or her. And that's what's going to make them special and important. And it is part of the certifiable madness of the earth. And we see it being played out in Israel. We see it being played out in the Ukraine. We see it in all these third world countries. People overthrowing their governments that have all become corrupt. And what is it except the thinking that humanity keeps believing can prevail with enough technology? If we only create enough of this real, more expanded consciousness in the computers. Computers will help us figure it out. We just have to keep at it. And so it goes. If you want life, true life, life truly worth living, you have to take to task your own awareness. You have to start a spiritual practice that catches the mind when it's dwelling on limited, negative, debilitating thoughts, which we have allowed ourselves to have over and over again, mostly about others, but quite often about ourselves. As long as we allow the mind to continue in the thinking of the world, we will suffer because it is not real. The world the mind projects as being separate, apart, and only conquered by force is an absolute terrifying illusion. But we have to come to that. Most people do live lives of quiet desperation. They keep meeting frustration. They don't know why they don't feel good. They don't know why the whole world is so sick, especially the United States. Marianne Williamson, when she was running for president at the time before this, and they were all talking about how much, when they become president, all these candidates are saying how much they're going to spend on, giving people the drugs and medications and medical treatments that they need, and they're going to be supported and subsidized. So each one of these candidates running for the presidency of the United States, and then I got to Marianne Williamson, and she said, you know what? I would like to know, why is everybody in America so sick? Because we're ignorant. And that ignorance is propagated by media. There's no conscience in the pharmaceutical industry. There's no conscience in the big oil industry. They actually hire people to sit around in think tanks every day to figure out ways to manipulate you. So we want life. And if we want life, we have to start to deal with truths that are not easy to take in and even more difficult to finally express. But take them in and express them we must, if we want to find life truly worth living. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? This is in the text on page 162. In the new edition is on page 174. And of course, those of you that are new to A Course in Miracles, Helen Schuckman decided to use the male gender in all of the tense, in all of its writing of A Course in Miracles, because she figured that we were almost used to it anyway in the modern language, that he, him stood for him and her. So she used the male, so she didn't get into having to write this entire set of books, using him, her, she, him, he, her, all the time, confusing the language so that people wouldn't understand the basic truth within it. But I will do it anyway now. If your brothers and sisters are part of you, will you accept them? Only they can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. What you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself. And as you call upon it in them, it becomes real to you. God has but one Son, knowing them all as one. Only God himself is more than they, but they are not less than he is. Would you know what this means? If what you do to my brothers and sisters you do to me, and if you do everything for yourself, because we are part of you, everything we do belongs to you as well. Everyone God created is part of you. Can we take this back again, please? You see how far away from the limited thinking of the world such ideas are as being represented here. So we'll go through this again. See if you can catch a hold of what is being revealed here. Because we keep thinking that somehow or other we have to use some political conditions or some political power or some magic or something to change the world out there, get those people doing the right thing for a change. But that's not what this is about. Did you know that masters exist throughout the ages? They have mastered life. They live in a world of harmony, peace, joy, love, and insight. They live there. They don't deviate from it. How does that happen if the world that looks on you, or the world you look on right now, is so filled with anger, violence, and war? Because your mind is creating the world you are looking upon. When you transcend the thinking of the world, you will be free and have mastered life. And there'll be a lot of those who didn't get there, who didn't decide to go there, who never did the practice. There was too much responsibility. But listen to the truth. If your brothers and sisters are part of you, will you accept them? Only they can teach you what you are. Look at that. For your learning is the result of what you taught them. What? The learning is you learn what you're teaching them. What you're holding in your mind, what you're believing about them, is appearing to you in your life experiences. And it's what you're teaching them because of what you're believing about them that's appearing to you in life as being life. But if you want this to change, you have to change your consciousness, change your attitudes, change your outlook, which is driven by your in-look. This is the truth that will make you free. Otherwise, you're not going to be free. Only they can teach you what you are, for your learning is the result of what you taught them. What you call upon in them, you call upon in yourself. And as you call upon it in them, it becomes real to you. So you see them, and I used to talk to people on the truth, and after it was over, we had these classes, someone would come up to me and say, "Yes, Jack, but in the real world. But in the real world, it works like this." No, not in my world. Maybe in your world, but not in mine. Doesn't work like that. So this is what they're saying to you. God has but one Son, knowing everyone as one. Only God himself is more than they, but they are not less than he is. That means that God even is more than all of us, only sees us all as one. We are one Son in the consciousness of God. But we have the same thing going on within our own awareness. Everything we're looking upon is there by virtue of our own consciousness and the beliefs we have collected over time. And many of those beliefs have to be taken to task if we want to get free of the debilitating thinking of the world. So, only God himself is more than they, but they are not less than he. They have the same creative experience in their own relationships. Would you know what this means? If what you do to my brothers and sisters you do to me, and if you do everything for yourself, because we are part of you, everything we do belongs to you as well. Everyone God created is part of you. If you don't like the world you're living in, stop trying to change them. Change your mind about them. Do you believe I'm telling you the truth? Because if you're just sitting here thinking, this is kind of a strange way to look at life. It's just strange. I don't know if it's for me or not for me. All I'm saying to you is if you don't even have an iota of feeling that the truth has been among us for centuries, forever, since creation, and that it has always been there for anyone who would be willing to take on, listen to it, the second most difficult word in the English language for people in the thinking of the world. It's there. The truth is there for anyone willing to take on the responsibility of knowing it. Second most feared word in the creation, responsibility. Who wants to know the first one? You do. You're the only one. The rest of you can go back to the Methodist Church. The most feared word in the outer-directed world we live in is conscience. So we have been born into an opportunity to awaken in the process of living to the idea that our first stage of consciousness doesn't play out for harmony, healing, and peace. Being awake while we're living, we should come to that realization, that conclusion. My life still doesn't work as well as I really would like it to work. And then we decide perhaps to take on a spiritual discipline, some spiritual path. It doesn't necessarily have to be unity, it can be a number of different paths. But you take on this path that calls for personal awareness to be challenged, opened, and refined. And as you do that, you come into the new realization, the new life. So here's what is considered the most documented, most tested, most trusted psychic that ever lived. I know everybody's got their psychic here in Boulder. You can't even live in Boulder unless you've got your psychic. But this guy that I'm going to quote was able to demonstrate phenomena beyond anything your psychics can demonstrate. He demonstrated in the face, in the presence of doctors and legal people that wanted to debunk him, arrest him, and put him in jail. But they couldn't. What he did was he blew their minds. He is the second most interesting and most improbable psychic. And I want to stack him as that whoever lived. And I say the first is, of course, Jesus, who knew the thinking of the people around him. But this guy, he's second in the phenomena he was able to demonstrate in the face of all kinds of opposition who wanted to debunk him. Even Houdini, who was successful in debunking all of the crystal ball readers and the would-be psychics of his time, that's what he did as a hobby. When he came to Edgar Casey, his mouth was shut. So now I'm going to share with you this man who is only second to Jesus in phenomena. Edgar Casey's companion. It has ever been and is, even in materiality, a reciprocal world. If you will be my people, I will be thy God. Jeremiah 32:38. If you would know good, do good. If you would have life, give life. If you would know Jesus, the Christ, then be like him. There is no life without death. There is no renewal without the dying of the old. What ye do to others, you are doing to thyself. as you would that others should do to you, do even so to them, is not merely a saying that has found ready utterance on the tongues of those who would have their way here and there. They are principles. If you would have love, you must show thyself loving. If you would have friends, you must show thyself friendly. If you would have peace and harmony, forget self and make for harmony and peace in thy associations. So oft is the ego so enwrapped in self that it feels it will lose its importance, its place, its freedom. Yet to have freedom in self, give it. To have peace in self, make it, give it. In the manner ye do unto the least of these you meet day by day, so you do it unto thy God, and also unto yourself. This is the law of reality. I don't know how we could have missed it so long. I don't know how people continue on, people who are supposedly educated and bright and have been awake, continue to miss how to live effectively, beautifully, joyfully, powerfully, wonderfully, lovingly. But here it is, being revealed to us over and over again. This much you should also know: the ego and those who serve the ego need an enemy. Those who are seemingly outward authorities in the world and the thinking of the world need to create an enemy for the unenlightened masses of people. Because that's where they work on your adrenaline, being right. You're right, these people are wrong, they're trying to get you, they're trying to deceive you, they're trying to cheat you. But not so with this truth that we just shared. So now we're going to have a meditation together that will help us enter into this reality that we are seeking. The only reality worth seeking. So just take a couple of deep breaths, and as you release the breath, give yourself permission to be sitting here. Just to be okay with yourself. We are supposed to be okay, knowing that we are evolving. Just breathing, allowing to be sitting here, taking in the truth of life. And we do this by using the name of God. The name of God was given directly to Moses. You can read it in the 3rd chapter of the book of Exodus. The name of God is I am. It is also the name that we all use, and mostly in the outer directed illusionary world, that name is taken in vain. But it is the name of God, I am. And what we attach to it becomes our experience. So just relax and open to this ideal. I am they. I am he. I am you. I am she. Everything you think of me. Everything you do to me. Be still and know that I am God. I am they. I am she. I am you. I am he. I am the mountains, the forests, and the sea. Everything you think of me. Everything you do to me. Be still and know that I am God. I am they. I am he. I am you. I am she. I am the mountains, the forests, the deserts, and the sea. I am the vast and the small, and the love that heals all. Be still and know that I am God. as we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space. Let's go forth with a greater determination to be awake to our minds in the process of living. For this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. And to this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. While we're preparing to do this, I'd like to invite you. We usually have our group discussion. About 10 minutes after the service, I get over there. You can start before me. Circle the chairs, and anyone that wants to stay and talk about this talk or anything to do with unity, that's what we do after the service. And those of you that are watching live stream online, we welcome you to take a moment sometime to show up in person, physically. And I think you'll get more out of it if you're here in this energy. So give that a shot every now and then on Sunday. And as we bring into our minds and into our hands that financial gift we'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, let's bless this gift with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Come to the light, the candle of hope, everyone gather here. Come to the light and warm in its glow, bringing the light to here. This is the time, this is the place, we let our joy be raised. Lift up your voice, sing and rejoice, open your heart to grace. Come to the light, the candle of hope, everyone gather near. Come to the light and warm in its glow, bringing the light to here.
Join me now, please. We dedicate this tithe to the will and the work of the Spirit of truth. The Spirit available to each of us, the Spirit that joins all of us. We dedicate this tithe to the victory of the Spirit of truth. Amen.
You're welcome to come to the bookstore and the gift store. It has the most incredible spiritual gifts there. It's just the continuation of this service is to go get tea and coffee or refreshments, bring it over into the bookstore and walk around and look at the wonderful items that our lovely person, Heather, has put into the store. And you can't walk by without maybe not buying today, but you won't forget the item for somebody's birthday or event to come back to this place. So please check that out.
All right. Don't miss next Sunday's talk. This has been a series on the healing power of love. And next week, I will share something I cannot share online. In other words, there'll be a section, a small, tiny 5-minute section that I will share next Sunday But before I share it, I will turn off the cameras because we legally can't share certain things. And that's what will happen next Sunday. So I invite you all to be here for a very special experience. Is that it?
That's it.
To everyone,
Thank you for coming.
have a beautiful day.